I think that Susan, Sarah's mother, didn't feel that the marriage would change things for her, but it's a curious thing, she was very wary.
Even Sarah Ferguson's own relatives reportedly questioned her intentions when she wed Prince Andrew, according to a royal reporter. Rumour circulated that, behind the glitzy royal wedding in 1986, some family members secretly wondered if Fergie was genuinely in love or if she was just pursuing the title, the privilege, and the associated lifestyle. It wasn't just her family, either. Senior aides and courtiers were said to be apprehensive within the royal walls. They were concerned that controversy might eventually result from Sarah's impetuous behavior, lively personality, and colorful social life. Unfortunately, history would show that they were correct. We reveal the backstory of those doubts tonight. How Sarah Ferguson's royal fairy tale turned into one of the most complex relationships in contemporary royal history, what her family truly believed, and what the palace feared.
I knew it was a scandal, not once it broke, Michael. But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you just delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want to go down this...
Duchess, I'm asking very fair questions of you.
No, it's too tabloidy.
John is Sarah's Australian agent.
A new royal report rekindled a decades-old topic. Was love or calculating the foundation of Sarah Ferguson and Prince Andrew's marriage? Members of the Ferguson family itself questioned whether Sarah was attracted to Andrew because of who he was or because of what he stood for, according to insiders cited by royal writer Andrew Lowy. She was a girl who always knew which circles to join, according to a family acquaintance. According to another, her father, Major Ronald Ferguson, experienced a mixture of anxiety and pride. Although he was proud that his daughter had won a prince, he was uncomfortable with the attention that would follow. The match was both opportune and worrying for Buckingham Palace. Sarah was well-bred, British, and well-known within the family.
This is why one of the reasons the Queen loved you so much and you were so special to her. What did she mean to you?
Oh, she just... I think I was just myself with her.
She was immediately liked by the Queen and Prince Philip because of her warm sense of humour, but she also had a history of wild parties, close male friendships, and an independent streak that alarmed some of the Queen's advisors. According to a former courtier, she was great fun, but not the safest choice for a royal bride. Born in 1959, Sarah Margaret Ferguson belonged to the stable middle class of the British upper class. Reputable, well-connected, but not very rich. Major Ronald Ferguson, her father, managed Prince Philip's and Prince Charles' polo teams. The Fergusons remained in the royal sphere only because of that job. Sarah was raised mostly between boarding school and her father's estate when her mother, Susan, remarried and relocated to Argentina.
Is the Duchess of York Epstein scandal about to hit her in the pocket? Well, maybe. Let me explain why. The charities linked to Sarah Ferguson on Monday certainly moved quickly to distance themselves from her.
Sarah had made a name for herself on the London social scene by the time she was in her early 20s. She was characterized by friends as upbeat, bold, and slightly crazy. Although she had menial positions at a publishing company and then an art gallery, her desire was subtly apparent. She desired a life beyond the norm, excitement, and prestige. The timing was ideal when she and Andrew got back in touch in 1985. The 25-year-old prince was attractive and among the most eligible bachelors in Britain. The Queen was putting more and more pressure on him to get married after he had recently returned from naval duty. Even though the two had known each other since childhood, they clicked right away when they reconnected at Royal Ascot.
Sarah Ferguson and that contribution to her debts by the deceased paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. As reported in the Mail, what we discover is firstly...
They got engaged in less than a year. However, rumors circulated that the relationship had been accelerated even at that time. That Fergie has the ability to win over the royal family with charm. She earned the public's affection with her friendly demeanor, made the Queen laugh, and grew close to Prince Philip. But behind closed doors, several family members wondered if she was falling for Andrew or the organization he worked for. Millions of people witnessed Sarah Ferguson go down the aisle of Westminster Abbey on July 23, 1986, wearing a 17-foot ivory train, a glittering tiara, and a beaming grin. Britain was enthralled with the final major royal wedding of the 1980s. Newspapers praised her as the Duchess of the People, a welcome change from the heated environment around Charles and Diana.
And I was allowed to be myself with her, which is such a joy. And we loved going for our walk with the doggies and the corgis, and she loved the smell of Daphne plant right now, or magnolia, or the daffodils.
However, fissures were already visible in the early stages. Inside the palace, several people started to get annoyed by Sarah's enthusiasm, which the press had formerly loved. She was too outspoken, too casual, and too direct. She hugged too frequently, smiled too much, and made royal aides seem like a joke in her interviews. Even worse, tensions in the marriage itself developed almost instantly. 4 months at a time, Andrew was gone on naval duty. Sarah acknowledged in a subsequent interview that they only spent 40 days a year together during the first 5 years of their marriage. As loneliness took hold, the tabloids jumped in. Rumors about extravagant spending, vacations, and secret liaisons started to spread. The palace employees who had previously questioned her now felt validated. She loves the attention, according to one of the assistants. That was never going to apply to her.
If you are innocent, would you pay £12 million to someone that is accusing you of awful, awful things? I would.
Concern had grown among royal officials by the late 1980s. Once positive, Sarah's reputation was starting to work against her. Her lively demeanor frequently became a public spectacle. There were tales of raucous parties, excessive shopping excursions, and contentious friendships. The courtiers' 1986 anxieties were coming to pass. According to reports, the Duke of Edinburgh became irritated with her actions. Despite her fondness for her, the Queen found it difficult to protect her daughter-in-law from the growing criticism of the tabloids. Some inside the palace referred to her as uncontrollable in private. They believed that her need for luxury and exposure was a bad reflection on the monarchy, particularly at a time when the British people was being more frugal during the recession of the early 1990s. And if the royal household had previously brushed off speculation about motivations, it was now confronted with a more serious issue. Were they underestimating her? If the entertaining Duchess proved to be a royal liability?
This is everything you've written in your book, though.
Yes, I know, but it's
and you're
the way
releasing your book, and you've agreed
the book
to do the interview.
the book has already been released, and the thing is, I'm not going to go down to this point. I'm going to answer your questions, but that's done. It's finished. I've answered it. Thank you very much.
Then 1992 arrived, the year that broke the serene exterior of the monarchy. Sarah was shown on vacation in France in August with her American financial advisor, John Bryan, even though she was still legally married to Andrew. One of the most significant royal scandals of the decade was the notorious toe-sucking pictures. The palace suffered a humiliation. Prince Philip was incensed. Fergie was essentially banished from royal life in a matter of days. Many members of the family saw this as proof of everything they had been afraid of and everything her relatives had allegedly been concerned about for years. According to a former royal correspondent, she wanted glamour and adventure. And she succeeded, but at a horrible price. Sarah's financial difficulties persisted long after her split. Her business endeavors, investments, and spending patterns frequently garnered media attention. Supporters contended that she was merely attempting to survive outside of the royal bubble, while critics claimed she courted limelight to remain relevant. However, the scandals continued after that. Sarah was caught on tape giving Prince Andrew access in 2010 in exchange for £500,000. The video shocked the British people. She seemed upset and intoxicated in the video, but the harm was already done. She called it a grave error of judgment and issued a public apology. Her name reappeared years later in relation to Andrew's acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein. In 2010, Sarah acknowledged accepting financial aid from Epstein to help pay off bills, which she later called a huge mistake. These episodes reflected the same pattern to royal observers. Financial difficulties, snap decisions, and terrible news stories. Her past had once caused the palace to worry. Her current situation was equally concerning. For some who had previously questioned her intentions, these controversies appear to demonstrate that Sarah Ferguson's desire for risk and profit was never fully subdued. However, that is not the whole story. Sarah Ferguson has defended herself against claims that she married for money or prestige for years. She has maintained in multiple interviews that her marriage to Andrew was founded only on love. "I married my man who happened to be a prince," she said in an interview with Town & Country in 2021. "I loved him so much that I married him." Additionally, Sarah and Andrew have maintained an unusually tight relationship even after their 1996 divorce. They continue to co-parent their girls, live together at Windsor's Royal Lodge, and attend family gatherings together. Many people think that their love, despite its unusual nature, has survived because of their friendship and continued cohabitation. Sarah's supporters contend that her errors were never intentional. They were human, impetuous, innocent, and occasionally stupid. Unprepared for the pressure, she was a young woman thrown into a gilded cage and punished far more severely than other people who had stumbled within the same castle walls. Those early familial doubts still haunt me 40 years later. Was she just ahead of her time, or was she the wrong lady at the wrong moment? Her treatment by the royal family has gradually improved. She has been accepted at some family get-togethers and is seen as a devoted grandma, a published writer, and a resilient person by some. However, the stigma persisted. The question comes up again in every profile and in every newspaper story. Was Sarah Ferguson's marriage to Prince Andrew motivated by ambition or love? Both might be true. In royal circles, where marriage is a political act, love and ambition are rarely separated. Many wonder why she hasn't bothered to get married again. They wonder if privilege and money are the only factors at play. Sarah Ferguson's transformation from Duchess to pariah to comeback star is perhaps one of the most intriguing and relatable royal tales of our time. Did her family have cause for concern, then? Maybe. Was she wrong? Of course. Did she, however, have her own kind of love for Andrew? Tell me what you think. Even if she was never the ideal Duchess, Sarah Ferguson is still one of the most fascinating, erratic, flawed, and completely human duchesses. And maybe that's why, over 40 years later, her narrative still holds our attention.